Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Hey, guess what? Israel this is a headline in the week that Israel concedes it may not be able to destroy Hamas. Well, that took a lot of courage, Israel. Thanks for coming clean. This is going to sound crazy. Despite 5 months of war in Gaza, Israeli intelligence officials admit the militant group eludes them. This might sound crazy to you, but have you tried not funding Hamas for 20 years? I bet that could really cut down on the Hamas.
Create and fund that group.
I say we send Israel every last penny we have.
What about Ukraine?
That's right. Here's another. This is from the Jerusalem Post. U.S. Israel can't totally defeat Hamas in Gaza. End game needed.
Oh God, where have I heard this before?
U.S. Deputy.
Every time.
That's right. U.S. Deputy Secretary Kurt Campbell said, "I don't think we believe that is likely or possible, and that this looks a lot like situations that we found ourselves in after 9/11.
Oh, you don't say. The same guy's working. Netanyahu's on shift again, and the same situation keeps happening. I wonder if there's a correlation of any kind.
I like how they say it's the situations we found ourselves in.
Hey, how'd we get here?
How'd we end up in Iraq? How did that happen? How'd we end up in Afghanistan for 20 years?
What is this?
You mean the situations we designed ourselves and then put ourselves in? You mean those situations we found ourselves in? We just woke up. Whoa,
how'd this happen? I was just minding my business, Jimmy.
Israel planned this war a long time ago. That's what people don't realize. This was all planned. That's why they propped up Hamas for 20 years, because they wanted to do this.
Same way Cheney and the boys planned 9/11.
Israel, I can't totally defeat Hamas in Gaza. Endgame. That's weird. I've said this since this war started, and Israel hacked my phone.
I think people understand that your phone was actually hacked by Israel.
People don't realize. I know. Well, it was somebody who got their Pegasus. So Israel, the Mossad invented Pegasus, which you can hack into someone's phone.
Yeah.
Without them doing anything. All they need is your phone number, and they get in. That's it. So they got in. They got in. What's that?
Maybe Ukraine did it.
It was either Ukraine or our own State Department. Our own military intelligence or Mossad. It was,
It's one company at the end of the day.
It is one company at the end of the day. Here's another from NBC News. Can Israel defeat Hamas? Its own military doesn't seem to think so. Clashing with Netanyahu. Wow. This is just like when we found out masks don't work. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to go, and move on to the next war.
Yeah. Hey, that was a waste. Well, on to the next victory. I haven't won a war in 80 years, but keep going. We're due for a win.
The Israeli Defense Forces top spokesman said Hamas is an idea that can't be eliminated, and that saying it could be was throwing sand in the eye of the public. Boy, this guy sounds like an anti-Semite refusing his diaper to take a shit on Israel's future. Am I right?
Yeah, in a way.
What does he know about war, Kurt? Just because he's Israeli's top spokesperson.
Any idiot could tell you that you can't fight an idea. Like any idiot. I mean, I was alive for the last 20 years when we were going to have a war on terror. And surprise, surprise, it turns out now the American citizens are the terrorists somehow. That it really turned around on us, that one.
So an ex-IDF soldier says you can't kill Hamas to a solution. The resistance is born out of death and oppression. I get getting the feeling that America is going to be wanting a refund from Israel pretty soon.
Really? Are they going to give us back the tapes they have of our leaders doing unspeakable things?
I bet they won't. Well, here he is. He says,
Hamas is stronger. That's just
Hamas,
a fact.
Okay.
Hamas is stronger, even though we fought them, and I believed during that fighting and with our sacrifice and all the destruction that we wrought in Gaza that we had dealt them a decisive blow. But that was just not true.
Is it possible, do you think, to wipe out Hamas? The Israeli government has said after this appalling terror attack, we will wipe out Hamas. Is that possible?
I think this government is incapable of doing it unless there is a dramatic, axiomatic shift in our approach towards Palestinians. We approach towards Palestinians, they can just be controlled. We can just keep them indefinitely under military occupation, deny them rights, deny them freedoms, the same ones that we cherish for ourselves, they don't have. And it's not about security, it's about ideology. We're ideologically committed to controlling the entire land of Israel exclusively for the Jewish people.
There will be many Israelis who simply want revenge on Hamas for this hideous attack.
That will only strengthen them, even if we dismantle and are able to defeat the physical terrorist organization Hamas. We will be strengthening the idea of violent resistance, because the only way to defeat the idea of violent resistance is to create an alternative and to work towards an alternative, one that our government is fundamentally opposed to. So this government can't defeat Hamas.
So you think it will, in effect, radicalize another generation of young Palestinians?
Of course. Of course. We're just killing them, and we don't provide any alternative.
So
did this guy find Jesus?
What's the penalty in the Israeli military for telling the truth? There's got to be some kind of punishment for what he's just done. You can't blackmail them with you can't use sexual assault or pedophilia as a threat against him because it's completely legal when they do it, right? He's had to wave goodbye to his pension, don't you think?
Your mom hangs whitefish in the windows and sits Shiva, I believe.
Yeah.
The same thing for being gay, which I have two Jewish friends whose mothers, they had to fake being straight and go to Orthodox school to pretend they're not gay. You know how Arabs don't like gay people. I got two buddies that I watch do this, and I'm like, your mom doesn't know you're gay, and you have to really do this for her? Like she's that programmed that she can't just accept it? Of course they can't, because they can't accept that they're not safe. By the way, you're not safer with Israel existing. It's obvious. No. It couldn't be more obvious that all the problems that Jews are 100% related to Israel. All the other things everybody's with. Everybody likes movies and all the other stuff people associate with Jews. It's Israel. I don't know how it could be, you have to be programmed to not see the obvious in front of your goddamn face.
That's a great point. Yeah, Israel actually makes Jews less safe the world round.
If there's American hostages, they at least pay lip service to try to get them back and don't try to sabotage it on purpose, Other than Reagan that one time, but we did get the hostages back.
I mean, I got to say, it does take guts for this guy to say that stuff, which means, that's probably why he doesn't belong in the Israeli military to begin with. Am I right? Come on.
Well, listen, the good thing about Jews is that this dumb shit that AIPAC tries to pumps in our media that you got to accept. Jews don't accept it. They nitpick and fight with each other. God bless them. The best thing about Jews. And so they're not all on board with the same thing. They're just not the nature of being Jewish at all. It's a lot of legal arguments. You understand? A lot of suing each other. And that's why people are going to go, hey, that's not right. And that's why you get Jews that are I only know because Norman Finkelstein. That's the only reason I understand what's going on now was because Norman Finkelstein. I wouldn't listen to an Arab. I'm a good person that would never.
Right.
Jimmy.
Hey, so mainstream media is unreliable and dishonest, and that's why you watch the show, right? How can you trust them when they're never told the truth about anything like Russiagate or Julian Assange, Ukraine, Syria, COVID? That's where our sponsor, Ground News, comes in. Ground News is an app and a website that gathers related articles from around the world in one place so you can compare the coverage, kind of like how we do it on this show. Let's look closer at the coverage of President Trump's attempted assassination, for instance. Ground News gives me instant access to more than 700 articles reporting on it all over the world with context on each publication's political bias. Factuality based on how subjective or objective their language is, and even who's funding those people. Comparing the coverage is absolutely fascinating to me. Corporate-leaning USA Today and ABC News downplayed the shooting by writing that Trump was moved from stage after loud noises startled him and rang out in the crowd. The Irish Times went as far as to victim blaming, adding that the assassination attempt might even help him win the White House. Right-leaning outlets like the Daily Signal and New York Post were quick to call out liberal media's biased coverage, reporting that their bias was on full display. Unfortunately, moments like these can fuel the fires of misinformation, and very inaccurate narratives can spread like wildfire. The only way to combat this is to stay informed through really diverse news sources, something Ground News simply excels at. I mean, they even created a blind spot feed to expose what the other side of the political spectrum isn't reporting on, freeing readers of any hidden agendas and political spins. With media bias just running crazy like it is, I can't recommend subscribing to Ground News enough to stay fully informed on topics with explosive headlines. Just go to ground.news/JD. That's ground.news/JD with my link in the description, and they're going to give you 40% off their Advantage subscription, which will give you unlimited access to all their analysis and features. Ground News. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.